Hey everyone, Opulent Flash here. We're diving into a world of automotive excess, celebrating opulence on four wheels, the top 50 most luxurious cars of all time. From early pioneers to today's ultra-luxurious land yachts, and the future of luxury with concept cars, this is going to be epic. Our journey into automotive opulence begins in the early 1900s, a time when horses were still a common sight on the roads. It was during this era that a car emerged that would forever change the world's perception of luxury, the Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost.
Now, the Silver Ghost wasn't just a car, it was a statement. Rolls-Royce wanted to create the best car in the world, and boy did they deliver. Imagine for its time this thing was ridiculously quiet and smooth, earning it the nickname Silver Ghost for its almost silent operation. But it wasn't just about being quiet. The Silver Ghost was all about handcrafted luxury. We're talking about coach-built bodies, opulent interiors with the finest materials, and a level of detail that was simply unheard of at the time. This car set the standard for luxury, a standard that Rolls-Royce continues to uphold today.
In the 1930s, the American automotive industry was thriving, epitomized by the Duesenberg Model J, a luxury car and a powerhouse of performance. It symbolized American ingenuity.
Under the hood, a 6.9-litre straight-eight engine delivered 265 horsepower. It could outrun almost anything, favoured by the wealthy and thrill-seekers. Inside, luxurious handcrafted wood trim and plush leather upholstery. The Duesenberg Model J was a statement of American luxury and power.
All right, guys, we're moving on to number 3, and it's a big one, literally. This is the Cadillac V16, a car that redefined American luxury in the 1930s. I mean, come on, just look at it.
What made the V16 so special? The engine, 16 cylinders, practically unheard of at the time. It produced around 165 horsepower.
It was also incredibly luxurious. High-end materials, plush interiors, unmatched craftsmanship. Cadillac really went all out with this one. Sadly, the V16 was a victim of the Great Depression, but its legacy lives on. Next up is a car that's near and dear to my heart, the Bugatti Type 35. When you think of Bugatti, you probably think of insane speed and modern hypercars. But back in the 1920s, Bugatti was already making a name for itself with luxurious and fast cars.
The Type 35 was a prime example. It won over 1,000 races. It was also a luxurious grand tourer, with a beautifully crafted interior and unmatched detail.
At number 5, we have a true icon from Mercedes-Benz, the SSK. This car was a beast, both in terms of its performance and its presence. I mean, just look at those long, flowing lines and that imposing grille.
The SSK was designed by Ferdinand Porsche, who, as you know, went on to create some pretty incredible cars. And you can definitely see his influence in the SSK's design. It was all about power and performance, with a supercharged 6-cylinder engine that produced around 300 horsepower.
But the SSK wasn't just about brute force. It was also a luxurious car, with a well-appointed interior and a smooth, comfortable ride, for its time anyway. It was the kind of car that could win races on the weekend and then cruise comfortably to the opera on a Tuesday night. Talk about versatility. The SSK was a true masterpiece of automotive engineering and a testament to Mercedes-Benz's commitment to performance and luxury.
All right, guys, for number 6, we're heading back to the 1920s, a time of incredible opulence and glamour, to check out the Hispano-Suiza H6B. This Spanish-Swiss masterpiece was truly something special, and it quickly became a favorite among the ultra-wealthy. Now, what made the H6B so desirable? Well, for starters, it was gorgeous. The long, flowing lines, the elegant proportions, it just screamed luxury. And under the hood, you had a massive 6.6-litre 6-cylinder engine. It produced around 135 horsepower, but the real magic of the H6B was in the details. The craftsmanship was second to none. You had hand-stitched leather interiors, intricate wood veneers, and even custom bodywork by some of the most famous coach builders in the world. Think about that. Each one was basically a one-off work of art. And you know what? These things were incredibly expensive. In fact, they were some of the most expensive cars you could buy back in the 1920s. But for the elite who could afford them, the Hispano-Suiza H6B was the ultimate status symbol. It represented the pinnacle of luxury and automotive engineering.
Next up at number 7, we're sticking with the pre-war era. We're heading stateside to check out a true American icon of luxury, the Packard 12. Packard was known for its high-quality cars, but the 12 was in a league of its own. It was their flagship model, designed to compete with the best from Europe. Powered by a 12-cylinder engine producing 175 horsepower, it was one of the most powerful cars in the world at the time. The Packard 12 wasn't just about brute force, it offered a smooth and luxurious ride. Sadly, production ended in 1939, but it remains a legend to this day. All right, guys, at number 8, we're going back across the pond to England for another legendary pre-war luxury car, the Rolls-Royce Phantom 3. The Phantom 3 was a technological tour de force, powered by a 7.3-litre V12 engine. It produced around 170 horsepower, known for its smoothness and quietness. It featured innovations like independent front suspension and hydraulic brakes. Only 727 were built before 1939, making them rare and valuable today.
The Delahaye 135. Even the name just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? This car is just as exotic and desirable as those Italian stallions.
The 135 was all about bespoke luxury. You worked with a coach builder to design the entire body. The long hood, the sweeping fenders, the teardrop shape of the rear. It was automotive art deco at its finest.
All right, folks, we're stepping into the 1940s now with a true American icon of luxury, the Lincoln Continental.
Now, I've got to talk about those suicide doors. Yes, they were controversial, but they also added to the Continental's mystique. Plus, they made it way easier to get in and out of the back seat, which, let's be honest, is where you wanted to be in this car.
The interior was like a rolling living room, with plush leather seats, wood trim everywhere. But the Continental wasn't just about looks, it was also a powerful beast.
Under the hood, you'd find a massive V12 engine that could get this land yacht moving with surprising speed. And let's not forget, this was the car of presidents. JFK famously rode in a Continental convertible, and that association with power and prestige just cemented its place in automotive history. So if you're looking for an American classic that oozes luxury and history, the Lincoln Continental is definitely worth checking out. Just be careful opening those back doors.
From American extravagance, we now cross the pond to the epitome of British luxury, the Bentley Mark VI. The Mark VI was all about understated elegance. It wasn't flashy. It was about quiet confidence and impeccable craftsmanship.
This was a car for people who didn't need to shout about their wealth. They let the car do the talking for them. The lines were classic and timeless, with a profile that screamed sophistication.
All right, so the Cadillac Series 62, this car just screams 1940s America. Imagine guys in fedoras cruising down to a jazz club, big, bold styling, chrome for days, and that classic American luxury feel. These were the cars to have if you'd made it.
The Series 62 wasn't just about looks. Under the hood, potent V8 engines. Tons of luxury features like power windows, power seats. This was cutting-edge stuff back then.
The Series 62 is a true icon of its time, and it still looks fantastic today.
Buckle up, folks. Let's talk about the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, an iconic sports car. Those gull-wing doors, the sleek aerodynamic bodywork, pure automotive art.
But it wasn't just about looks. A technological marvel, one of the first with fuel injection and a lightweight tubular frame.
A race car for the road, dominating the track, winning Le Mans, Mille Miglia, and more. A legend then, and still one of the greatest. Let's talk about the epitome of 1950s British luxury, the Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud. This car is all about understated elegance. It exudes class and sophistication. Imagine royalty being chauffeured around in this.
The Silver Cloud was known for its incredibly smooth ride. They say it's like riding on a cloud, powered by a silky smooth V8 engine.
Inside, it's all about traditional craftsmanship with hand-stitched leather and beautiful wood veneers. The Silver Cloud is a true classic, a testament to Rolls-Royce's luxury. All right, guys, we're at number 15, and it's time to talk about a car that's the epitome of Italian style and performance, the Ferrari 250 GT.
This car wasn't just luxurious, it was a statement. Imagine cruising down the Italian Riviera in the late 50s, the sound of that V12 engine roaring behind you.
The 250 GT was a proper driver's car, with a powerful engine and responsive handling. It's no wonder that the 250 GT is considered one of the most iconic Ferraris ever made. Number 16 brings us to a car that even Enzo Ferrari himself couldn't help but admire, the Jaguar E-Type.
This thing was a revelation when it debuted in the 60s, and honestly, it still looks incredible today. Those curves, that long hood.
But the E-Type wasn't just about looks. It backed up its stunning design with serious performance. The E-Type could really move, and it quickly became a favorite among sports car enthusiasts.
And here's the thing about the E-Type. It wasn't just for the super rich, it was also relatively affordable, at least compared to some of its Italian rivals.
The E-Type is one of those cars that transcends generations. It's a timeless classic that still turns heads today. At number 17, we have a car that needs no introduction, the Aston Martin DB5. This is the car that became synonymous with James Bond, and it's easy to see why.
It's sleek, it's sophisticated, and it has an air of danger about it that's just irresistible.
But the DB5 wasn't just a pretty face. Underneath that gorgeous bodywork was a powerful engine and a sophisticated suspension that made it a joy to drive. This car could handle anything you threw at it, whether you were outrunning villains or just enjoying a leisurely drive through the countryside.
Of course, we can't talk about the DB5 without mentioning its gadgets. From the ejector seat to the tire slashes, this car was packed with enough spy gear to make Q Branch proud.
The DB5 is more than just a car, it's a cultural icon. It's a symbol of British cool, and it's a reminder that sometimes the best things in life come with a license to thrill. All right, guys, we're back with another automotive icon for our list, and this time it's a big one, literally. This is the 1960s Lincoln Continental, a car that embodied American luxury in the jet age.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Didn't we already talk about a Lincoln Continental? We did, but trust me, this one's different. This generation ditched the quirky suicide doors and went for a more traditional yet equally elegant design.
And speaking of elegant, can we just take a moment to appreciate the sheer size of this thing? I mean, this car is longer than a Chevy Tahoe, and it's almost as wide as a Hummer H1. It's like they took luxury and stretched it out on one of those medieval torture racks, but you know what? It totally works. The long, flowing lines, the chrome accents, and that iconic Continental spare tire hump on the trunk, it all just screams American luxury.
Under the hood, you'd typically find a massive V8 engine because, well, it's America, and displacement is king. But what's really interesting is that Lincoln offered this generation Continental in a variety of body styles, including a sedan, a coupe, and even a convertible. Of course, the convertible is the ultimate expression of 1960s Continental cool, but honestly, any one of these would make a fantastic classic cruiser.
So, there you have it, the 1960s Lincoln Continental. It's a car that embodies the opulence and excess of its era, and it's a true American icon. And hey, if you ever find yourself behind the wheel of one of these beauties, just imagine you're Don Draper cruising down Sunset Boulevard, you know, without all the existential dread and chain smoking. All right, everyone, buckle up, because we're diving into the Mercedes-Benz 600, a car in a league of its own. This isn't just any sedan, it's the car that dictators, rock stars, and heads of state fought over.
If it was good enough for Elvis, it's good enough for us, right?
It's massive, imposing, and oozes opulence. The interior looks like a palace with leather, wood, and legroom rivaling a private jet.
The engineering is where it gets interesting. A 6.3-litre V8 engine, the largest Mercedes had produced.
The hydraulic system powered everything, windows, seats, suspension, and even the sunroof. It cemented the 600's status as the ultimate luxury car. Now onto the next classic. All right, folks, let's keep this luxury train rolling with a car that practically defines 1970s glamour, the Rolls-Royce Corniche. Rolls-Royce is already synonymous with luxury, but the Corniche took things to a whole new level.
This was the car for cruising down the French Riviera, hair in the wind, with a supermodel in the passenger seat.
The Corniche was essentially a convertible version of the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. The design is timeless elegance with those iconic Rolls-Royce lines. And of course, you couldn't miss that iconic Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament.
Under the hood, you'd find a massive V8 engine because, well, it's a Rolls-Royce. But what really set the Corniche apart was the interior. Acres of leather, deep pile carpets, and enough wood veneer to make a rainforest jealous.
All right, folks, buckle up as we talk about the 1970s, a time when gas was cheap, hair was long, and American luxury meant land yachts with enough chrome to make a rapper blush. And nothing says 1970s American excess quite like the Cadillac Eldorado.
I mean, look at this thing, it's massive. It's like they took a regular Cadillac and stretched it out on a medieval torture rack. This thing was huge, and it was glorious.
Under the hood of this behemoth, you'd typically find a massive 8.2-litre V8 engine. This wasn't some anemic European engine. This was an American V8 that produced enough torque to reverse the Earth's rotation.
But you know what's even more amazing? Despite its size, the Eldorado wasn't actually that slow. Sure, it wasn't a sports car, but it could get up and go when it needed to.
And the interior? Don't even get me started on the interior. It was like stepping into a plush, velvet-lined living room on wheels. You had more buttons and gadgets than a NASA control room, and enough leather to make a herd of cows weep.
And the ride? Like floating on a cloud. If that cloud were powered by a small block V8 and had a penchant for leaving skid marks. The Cadillac Eldorado was the epitome of 1970s American luxury. It was big, it was bold, and it was thirsty. But most importantly, it was a symbol of an era when America ruled the automotive world.
Okay, so we've talked about American luxury, but now let's hop across the pond to Italy, where things were a little different. I'm talking about the Lamborghini Countach, a car so outrageously styled, so ridiculously fast, and so undeniably cool that it became an icon of the 1980s.
I mean, seriously, just look at it. It's like it was designed by a 5-year-old who was told to draw a spaceship.
The Countach wasn't just about looks, though. This thing was an absolute beast on the road. It was powered by a mid-mounted V12 engine that produced a sound that could melt glaciers.
And forget about practicality. The Countach was about as practical as a screen door on a submarine. Getting in and out of this thing was an Olympic sport, and visibility was, let's just say, limited.
But none of that mattered because the Countach was all about one thing: pure, unadulterated excitement. It was the kind of car that made you feel like a rock star just by sitting in it. It was loud, it was fast, and it was guaranteed to turn heads wherever you went.
The Lamborghini Countach wasn't just a car, it was a statement. It was a statement that said, I'm here, I'm loud, and I don't care what you think. And that, my friends, is what made it an icon.
All right, after that Italian stallion, let's head back to England for a dose of old-school British luxury. This is the Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit, a car that debuted in 1980.
While the Countach screamed for attention, the Silver Spirit was a masterpiece of understated elegance. It whispered rather than shouted.
Under that long sculpted hood, the Silver Spirit packed a potent V8 engine. It was all about smoothness, wafting you along in a silent cloud of luxury.
Driving a Silver Spirit was like piloting a luxury yacht down the road, effortlessly gliding over imperfections.
And the interior? Oh, the interior, like stepping into a 5-star hotel suite. Enough legroom for a family of giraffes.
It wasn't about showing off or going fast, it was about experiencing the pinnacle of automotive luxury.
All right, guys, now we're talking 1980s luxury. The Mercedes-Benz 560 Cell was the car to have. Picture this, shoulder pads, big hair, and you're cruising down Wall Street in this unit. This thing is massive, even by today's standards. It's got presence, that imposing Mercedes front end and those iconic 80s boxy line. Inside you are swimming in leather and wood. This car was the definition of 80s opulence.
Now, let's talk about a car that shook things up in the luxury world. The 1990 Lexus LS 400. This car changed everything. Back in the 80s, luxury meant German. Mercedes, BMW, you know the drill. Then Lexus came along with the LS 400 and said, hold my sake. Smooth, quiet, reliable, and gunning for the Germans. They even tested it with a champagne glass on the hood. Seriously, and it worked. The LS 400 offered unmatched quality and refinement. Plus, it was more affordable. A no-brainer for luxury buyers. The LS 400 was a revelation. It showed the world that the Japanese could build luxury cars just as good as anyone else. Let's head back to Germany with the BMW 750iL from the 1990s. This was BMW's flagship luxury sedan, showcasing their tech prowess, packed with gadgets unheard of back then. Satellite navigation, voice control, and early infotainment. Control climate, audio, and phone from a central screen. Like a spaceship on wheels. Also a fantastic car to drive. Powerful V12 engine. Classic BMW handling. A statement car for BMW. Showed their commitment to innovation. A technological tour de force.
Chapter 28, Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph, 1990s British luxury.
The Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph marked the end of an era. The last Rolls-Royce designed under Vickers before BMW took over. It wasn't about sporty handling or groundbreaking technology. It was all about traditional Rolls-Royce luxury. isolating you in a cocoon of leather, wood, and wool. Powered by a 5.4-liter V12 from BMW. A fitting end to Rolls-Royce's 20th century story.
Chapter 30 Maybach 57 2000s German luxury.
Remember the Maybach? Mercedes-Benz revived the legendary Maybach nameplate in 2002. They unveiled the Maybach 57. This was no ordinary Mercedes.
The Maybach 57 was all about opulence and exclusivity. Competing with Rolls-Royce and Bentley, it pulled out all the stops. Massive presence on the road with a super long wheelbase and a distinctive grille.
Inside, it was like a palace on wheels. Everything you could ever want in a car. Powered by a twin turbocharged V12 engine. Effortlessly cruising down the Autobahn. The Maybach 57 made a statement. Mercedes-Benz could still build the ultimate luxury sedan. All right, guys, we're on to number 30. And you already know it's got to be a Rolls-Royce.
This is the Phantom, launched in 2003. It revived the brand and set the stage for today's Rolls-Royce.
Look at this thing, it's dripping with presence. The big grille, the spirit of ecstasy, and imposing proportions scream wealth. And those suicide doors.
They're iconic, making entry an event. Under the hood, a massive V12 engine. It's about effortless power.
The real story is inside. The interior is like a 5-star hotel suite, specially raised cows for leather, actual wood trim, and thick carpets.
Exquisitely crafted with unmatched attention to detail. The Phantom was a game changer and remains one of the most luxurious cars.
It's a statement car you have to experience to believe. Next up at number 31, we've got the Bugatti Veyron.
Some might argue it's more of a supercar than a luxury car, but it was so ahead of its time, it deserves a spot on this list.
Designed to go over 250 miles per hour.
When it came out, it blew everyone's minds. It had a massive 8-liter quad-turbocharged W16 engine, making over 1,000 horsepower.
Surprisingly refined and comfortable.
The interior is a masterpiece of leather, aluminum, and carbon fiber. The Bugatti Veyron wasn't just a car, it was a statement.
At number 32, we have another Rolls-Royce, and this time it's the Wraith.
The Wraith is a bit different from the Phantom. Rolls-Royce calls it a Grand Tourer, and that's a pretty accurate description. It gets a 6.6-litre twin-turbo V12 that produces 624 horsepower. But let's be honest, the Wraith is all about the experience. The real party piece is the Starlight headliner, mimicking the night sky. The Wraith is for those who want luxury and performance but don't want to be chauffeured.
Tesla Model S, 2010's American electric luxury.
Now we're shifting gears a bit, both literally and figuratively, with the Tesla Model S. This is Silicon Valley's take on high-end transportation, and it took the world by storm. The Model S changed all that with its sleek design, blistering acceleration, and let's be honest, that massive touchscreen that controls everything.
Rolls-Royce Cullinan, 2020's British luxury SUV.
All right, folks, if you ever find yourself needing to traverse the Serengeti in absolute opulence, then might I suggest the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. It's named after the largest diamond ever discovered, and trust me, this SUV is just as precious. The Cullinan is what happens when you take everything that makes a Rolls-Royce, well, a Rolls-Royce, and inject it into an SUV body. It's got presence, it's got luxury, and it's got that iconic spirit of ecstasy leading the way.
Now, I know what you're thinking. A Rolls-Royce SUV is nothing sacred, but trust me, this thing is the real deal. It's got a twin turbocharged V12 engine that could probably tow a small country, and the interior is swathed in enough leather and wood to make you feel like you're riding in a palace on wheels.
Of course, all this luxury comes at a price, and the Cullinan definitely isn't cheap. But hey, if you can afford it, why not go all out, right?
Bentley Flying Spur, 2020's British luxury.
Effortless speed and understated elegance, the Bentley Flying Spur. Cross continents in comfort and style. Bentley's answer to the Rolls-Royce Ghost, a more athletic design with a powerful V8 or a monstrous W12 engine. No slouch in performance.
But don't let that sporty edge fool you. This is still a Bentley, a masterpiece of craftsmanship. Enough technology for any technophile.
The Flying Spur can do it all. Daily driver, weekend getaway, or cross-continental Grand Tourer.
All right, guys, the Mercedes-Maybach S-Class. This is, how do you say, the pinnacle of German luxury? You know, Mercedes makes the S-Class, which is already their top-of-the-line sedan, and then they say, hey, let's make it even more luxurious.
And that's how you end up with this. The Maybach treatment means more legroom, more features, and more luxurious materials than you can shake a stick at. I mean, we're talking reclining rear seats with massage, champagne fridges, the works. It's really meant to be driven in rather than driven. You got a chauffeur? This is the car you want him driving. And yeah, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. But hey, that's the price of opulence, right? Up next, we're heading back to Britain for a car that's so luxurious it might just make you faint.
Okay, let's talk about the Rolls-Royce Ghost. Now, you know Rolls-Royce for their big, imposing presence, right? The Ghost is kind of the entry-level Rolls-Royce, if you can call it that. But don't let that fool you, this thing is still dripping with luxury.
I mean, it's got the iconic grille, the Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament, and an interior that's quieter than a library. Seriously, they use special sound-deadening materials and techniques to make it eerily quiet inside. Under the hood, you've got a massive V12 engine that could probably tow a small moon. But you're not buying this car to win drag races. You're buying it to waft along in absolute comfort and style.
And speaking of style, check out that Starlight headliner. Yeah, you can have tiny LEDs installed in the roof to mimic the night sky. It's insane.
Alright, moving on to something a little sportier, the Aston Martin DBX. Now, Aston Martin is known for their sleek, sexy sports cars like the DB5. But the DBX is their first foray into the world of SUVs.
And you know what? They nailed it. It's got that classic Aston Martin design language with the long hood and muscular curves. But it's also got a practical side, with plenty of space for passengers and cargo.
Don't let that practicality fool you though. This thing is still an Aston Martin at heart. It's got a powerful engine that will get your heart racing, and the handling is surprisingly agile for a vehicle of its size.
So, if you're looking for a luxury SUV that can handle both the school run and a spirited drive on a winding road, the DBX is definitely worth a look. And hey, if James Bond can drive an Aston Martin, you can too, right?
Alright guys, we're moving into some serious luxury EV territory with the Lucid Air. This California-based company has really come out swinging, directly targeting Tesla with their incredible performance and range. I mean, we're talking over 500 miles on a single charge for some trims. That's seriously impressive.
And the Air doesn't just excel in practicality, this car is stupid fast. Like 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds fast in its top trim. That's quicker than a lot of supercars out there.
But it's not all about brute force. The interior of the Lucid Air is where it really shines. We're talking high-quality materials, a minimalist design, and a massive touchscreen that controls everything from climate to navigation. It's futuristic without being gimmicky, which is a tough balance to strike.
And with its blend of performance, luxury, and technology, the Lucid Air is definitely a car that's turning heads in the automotive world.
Okay folks, buckle up because we're about to get futuristic. This is the Mercedes-Benz Vision AVTR, and no, that's not a typo. It stands for Advanced Vehicle Transformation, and it's inspired by the movie Avatar.
I know it sounds a little out there, but trust me, this thing is seriously cool. The Vision AVTR is all about sustainability and connecting with nature. It has scales on the back that can move and communicate.
But the real kicker is the way you control this thing. It doesn't have a steering wheel. Instead, it uses brain-computer interfaces. You think about where you want to go and the car takes you there. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. Pretty wild stuff. All right, everyone, get ready to be amazed because we're talking about the Rolls-Royce Vision Next 100.
This car is absolutely massive, like something out of a science fiction movie. And it's completely autonomous, so there's no need for a driver. The entire interior is essentially one giant lounge.
But the real star of the show is Eleanor, the Vision Next 100's virtual assistant. And because this is Rolls-Royce, you know they didn't skimp on the details. So what do you guys think? Is this the future of luxury transportation?
BMW Vision Next 100. BMW's Vision Next 100. A company really leaning into the future.
Reimagining the entire driving experience. Switch between ease mode and boost mode. Ease mode lets the car do the driving. Boost mode gives you complete control.
The interior is like a luxury lounge on wheels. Minimalist design and high-tech features. A clear indication of BMW's future vision. Audi AI.me. Audi's AI.me concept is the future of city driving.
It's all about a comfortable, stress-free commute. Relax and enjoy the ride.
Packed with Audi's advanced technology, including Level 4 autonomous driving.
Focused on passenger well-being with eye tracking and voice control.
Mood lighting, premium sound system, and space for plants. Your urban oasis on wheels. Cadillac Innerspace. Let's talk about the Cadillac Innerspace concept.
This one's a bit out there, even for a concept car. Your car is basically an extension of your living room. That's the vibe Cadillac is going for.
The inner space is designed for a future with autonomous driving. It doesn't even have a steering wheel or pedals.
The interior maximizes passenger comfort and entertainment. A massive wraparound LED screen, reclining seats with massage functions, and a panoramic roof for stargazing.
Cadillac went all out on the luxury features. This thing is never going to see the light of day, and you're probably right.
But the inner space is about pushing boundaries and sparking conversations.
Maybe one day we'll all be cruising in our own personal autonomous lounges.
All right, guys, now we're driving into the future with the Lexus LF30 concept. This car is wild, with a design that looks like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. The interior is even crazier, with a futuristic cockpit that looks like it belongs in a spaceship.
Underneath all that styling, the LF30 is an all-electric car. It has in-wheel electric motors for all-wheel drive.
Next up, we have the Porsche Mission E, a concept car that previews Porsche's first all-electric sports car, the Taycan. Porsche is known for its performance cars, so you know they weren't going to mess around with an electric car. And the Mission E does not disappoint. It's got 2 electric motors producing 600 horsepower, 0 to 60 in under 3.5 seconds. Plus, it's got Porsche's legendary handling.
But the Mission E isn't just about performance. It's also got a luxurious interior and a range of over 300 miles, charged to 80% in just 15 minutes. Overall, the Porsche Mission E shows Porsche is serious about electric cars.
All right, guys, it's time to talk about Tesla again. We're talking about the Tesla Roadster, a car that aims to redefine electric sports cars. Tesla claims it'll do 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, which would make it the quickest production car ever made.
And a range of 620 miles on a single charge. It'll show the world that electric cars can be just as fast and exciting. All right, guys, we're really getting into the future now.
This is the Aston Martin Lagonda Vision concept, and it's a wild one.
First of all, this thing looks like nothing else on the road.
It's sleek, futuristic, and just oozes luxury.
Aston Martin calls it a near-future study, hinting at their upcoming Lagonda electric car lineup.
And speaking of electric, this thing is fully electric.
They claim it'll have a range of around 400 miles on a single charge.
That's impressive for any EV, let alone a luxurious land yacht like this.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
The interior of this car is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's like stepping into a futuristic spaceship.
There's tons of space. The seats are covered in some kind of crazy high-tech fabric, and there are screens everywhere.
They even claim that the rear seats can swivel 180 degrees.
Now, it's important to remember that this is just a concept car.
There's no guarantee that any of these features will actually make it to production.
But even so, the Lagonda Vision concept is a fascinating glimpse into the future of luxury cars.
It's electric, it's stylish, and it's packed with technology.
What more could you ask for? At number 49, we have the Bentley EXP 100 GT. This concept car, revealed in 2019, celebrates Bentley's 100th anniversary.
It's packed with innovative features and technology. For example, it features an electric powertrain with a range of 435 miles.
This is Bentley, so you can be sure that range figure comes with a caveat: luxury driving. No hypermiling this grand tourer.
It also boasts a fully autonomous driving mode.
And speaking of opulent comfort, let's talk about the interior. Bentley calls it a sustainable, luxurious sanctuary.
It's crafted from luxurious, sustainable materials like 5,000-year-old salvaged wood.
Overall, the Bentley XP 100 GT is a stunning vision of the future of luxury grand touring. Our number 50 spot goes to the mysterious and exclusive Bugatti La Voiture Noire. Unveiled at the 2019 Geneva Motor Show, it had a price tag of $19 million.
Powered by a quad-turbocharged 8.0-litre W16 engine, it produces 1,500 horsepower.
A bespoke version of the Chiron, it features a carbon fiber body inspired by the Type 57 SC Atlantic.
The design boasts sleek lines, dramatic curves, and a distinctive dorsal fin, and that illuminated Bugatti badge, pure automotive theatre.
Details are scarce, adding to its intrigue. So, there you have it. My list of the 50 most luxurious cars of the past, present, and future. From the groundbreaking elegance of the Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost to the futuristic vision of the Bentley XP 100 GT, these cars represent the pinnacle of automotive luxury and design. It's been quite a journey exploring the evolution of luxury in the automotive world. We've seen how technology, design philosophies, and even cultural shifts have shaped what we consider to be the most opulent and desirable cars on the planet. But now I want to hear from you. Which car on this list would you park in your dream garage? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more automotive adventures. Until next